Hi everyone, and welcome to another live session with me. I'm Taryn, I'm an eating behavior expert, and my company is called Mindshift Me. So what I'm going to talk about today is your hunger, really. And there's three different types of hunger. So there's real hunger, which is our biological hunger. Then there's emotional hunger, and then there's binge eating, which is more of an eating pattern rather than a hunger. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each individual one of these, and we can go through and hopefully give you some tips and ideas on how to stop or at least recognize when you're eating in one of these fashions. So the first one is real hunger, which is our ideal type of hunger. And what that is it's our genuine biological hunger, right? So that's when we get physically hungry. So our stomach starts to rumble, our energy feels a little low, and your brain and your body are starting to talk to each other to give you signals to go and eat something. Kind of makes you more aware of food, more sort of interested in eating, and you start to think about, okay, what do I feel like now? And in an ideal world, you go off and you eat whatever it is, and you finish eating when you're full, and you're done. That's real hunger or biological hunger, right? So the next thing is emotional hunger. So this is when we eat for an emotional reason. So we don't have a physical or biological real hunger. We eat because we're bored, we're stressed, we're upset, we're angry, any of these we're lonely, we're depressed, any of these kind of emotional reasons. So what we do is we turn to food to soothe ourselves. Now, if we do this every now and then, that's okay. Like, we all do it, right? It's all, sitting on the couch, and you are bored and you look down and you've scoffed the entire box of Pringles. Oh, where did that go, right? That's emotional eating because you're bored. And it happens. It's normal to happen every now and then. But if it becomes a massive habit so that you're doing it consistently over time, this is when it becomes a problem. Because what you're doing is instead of dealing with your emotions or figuring out what's triggering those emotions and starting to solve for those emotions, you are trying to suppress them or soothe them with food, which never works in the end anyway. So another example of emotional eating would be you scoffed down some cake. You didn't even taste the chocolate cake because you were so mad at your friend because she said X, Y, Z and da 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 da. And as you're eating, you're not even concentrating or thinking about the food because you're just so angry. And the sugar might help you feel a little better, but it's fleeting. It's just for a millisecond. And then often what we do is we feel bloated or sick or guilty or ashamed, etc., etc. So it's not a great place to be emotionally hungry. Like I said, it does happen every now and to all of us, and that's fine, but it's when it becomes consistent that we're constantly overeating. And I know in the current, pandemic situation, a lot of us are starting to stress eat. We're in lockdown at home. It's tough. Our anxiety levels are higher. The fridge is right there. It's very accessible, and it's an easy coping mechanism. And it's something that we grew up with in childhood, right? We get kind of taught this, that food will soothe our emotions when we fall off our bicycle and scrape our knee, so we get a lollipop. Or you get a sweetie when you go for an injection at the doctor's. Or you get, an ice cream sundae when you do really well on your exams. So all these associations, even bigger things like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas turkey or Passover, a lot of these, our celebrations, not only our ouchies, get celebrated or connected to food or meals. And so often this is why we start to associate our emotions with food. And we're trying to separate those two things, because food is just fuel or energy for your body. It's not actually gonna solve your problems or be your teddy bear or your therapist. And so starting to recognize when you're doing this, whether you're bored or upset or lonely or depressed or stressed, whatever these reasons are, start to just acknowledge when you're eating, no judgment, right? We live in my zone, it's a no judgment zone, right? You're learning. And what I want you to do is start to just recognize when you're eating for emotional reasons rather than for genuine hunger. So when you're not really hungry, but you're XYZ, bored, stressed, anxious, whatever it is. And then I want you to start to think about, okay, well, what triggered that? Why am I bored? Or why am I stressed out? Am I watching too much, media or social feeds that are just freaking me out about, the coronavirus? Or am I completely bored because I'm stuck at home all day? Am I angry with somebody? And so what it is, you need to start to pinpoint what those stresses are, as we call them, what those triggers are for you to go, find some food in the fridge or the pantry. And then I want you to work through those without using food. So think about, okay, well, if somebody's upset you, what do? Can I hash it out with them? Can I have a discussion about it and let them know how I feel? If I'm bored, okay, so what's the alternative? What can I do to kind of keep me entertained? Is it a puzzle? Is it to learn a new language? Is it to go for a walk outside and do some exercise? Is it that I can clean a cupboard and feel productive? Whatever that is, or if you're stressed, is it that I can stop watching so much media about the coronavirus and just limit myself, or watch something that's funnier or more uplifting? So all of these are kind of ways that you can start to combat your emotions or find coping mechanisms so that you're not turning to food to soothe yourself. All right, now on to binge eating. So binge eating is different to emotional eating because this is another physiological side effect of dieting. It's a more frenzied panic type of eating where you eat a larger amount than you would normally in a very short space of time. And it's triggered by your brain and your body thinking that you're in a famine or starvation mode. And why it thinks that is often because we put ourselves on a diet and we restrict our calories or our food intake. And what happens then is your body sees this as stress. It sees this as a famine. It's not getting enough nutrients or energy. And so what it does is it goes into panic mode. And it does various things like it slows your metabolism down, your stress hormones go up, you kind of more in your fight or flight kind of anxious mode. And it starts to make you obsess or think about food a lot more because this is your body's way of trying to get you to eat. And when you are faced with some food that's really tempting or really yummy, and maybe your willpower that you're using on a diet is a little low today, and so you succumb, but your body doesn't know when it's going to eat again. So what it does is it kind of creates this binge environment where it goes, okay, well, I've got to eat everything now that I can get my hands on because I've blown my diet. So I'm going to eat because I don't know when I'm going to, be able to eat again because I know that you're going to put me on this diet again tomorrow. So it kind of overcompensates. And this is what happens when we binge, right? So we binge on all the nice things, our ice cream, chocolates, crisps, popcorn, whatever it is that kind of floats your boat. But this is what binge eating is. And it's much more panicked and frenzied. And what happens is that we override all our physiological or our biological real hunger signals of when we're full, so that we become overfull, overstuffed. And often you'll feel sick, you'll feel bloated, you'll feel incredible guilt and shame about doing this because it's a lack of, control. And sadly, what happens most of the time is that you just force yourself to get back onto a diet because you feel guilty. So you think, oh, I need to get back on my diet. Not realizing that the diet is what's perpetuating these binges, right? So we go through this diet, binge, guilt cycle again and again and again. So if this is you and this resonates with you, I want you to start to really think about, how is your diet serving you? How is this adding any value to your life? Especially if your weight is yo-yoing up and down, up and down, up and down. It's not a sustainable weight loss process to get to a healthy weight. And it's causing so much damage to your mind and your body confidence as well. So I want you to really start to think about, you know, what is dieting costing you, not just physiologically, but also mentally, emotionally, in your relationships, in your career. You know, we don't often think about dieting in those kind of terms. We think of it in our body, but dieting, if you're being a chronic dieter for a long time and on this diet binge cycle for a long time, especially if you're a binge eater, that can cause you to, it can cause you to like, lower your self-esteem. It chips away at your confidence, and not just in your body, but then that can translate into, oh, I don't want to do that presentation, or I'm not good enough to go for that promotion, or I don't want to be intimate with my partner because I don't like the way my body looks, and I'm embarrassed. And so it filters into so many different ways. And it also, if you're a parent, it can start to impact on how your own children see their bodies or their food, and start to build up a negative relationship with their eating. So you can see how it impacts on so many different levels. And if you're nodding along now, and this is like, yep, this is me, I want you to download my free guidebook, How to Break Free from Your Dieting Hell, because it'll give you a lot of tips and advice on how to kind of get out of this dieting thinking and dieting mode, and what you can do instead, which is start to listen to your body. This is a method called intuitive eating, or I like to call it instinctive eating. And all it is we're getting back to how we were when we were toddlers, right? We know, our body knows exactly when we're hungry for real hunger, physiological hunger, when we're hungry and when we're full. And your mind, your brain and your body are constantly talking to each other. You can watch my other live session on how your brain and body work together scientifically to talk to each other. And what happens is that we kind of disconnect from this when, you know, we do this when we're babies, and then over time, we disconnect from this mechanism because we listen to what our parents say or do, then our peers or our siblings, and then the media, the latest fad diets, and we kind of get sucked out of listening to ourselves and into the external world. And this is where dieting kind of takes over. But all the answers are within you, and you're so unique. Like, I can't tell you when to eat or what to eat, because your body is completely unique depending on your genetic makeup, the weather outside where you live, how much exercise you do, a whole host of factors, right? And so the only person who knows what's right for you, when it's right for you, and what you're craving and when you're craving it, etc., is you. And your body is constantly talking to you. So this is what intuitive or instinctive eating teaches. So there's a whole lot of information on my free guide to help you start to work through these. I'm throwing a whole lot of free resources at you. So please go download it. I'll put the link to it in my Facebook group. It's a free group, so join that if you haven't yet. It's called Mind Shift Me Community. So the free link to download this worksheet will be in there. So do go and have a look at that. So the other thing I just want to finally mention is that I'm thinking of doing a webinar about a live webinar about stress eating. So I've had a few people come to me and ask me about stress eating, particularly now when we're all in this lockdown. You know, like I mentioned before, it's stressful, it's hard. And so if you're interested in this, if this is something that you're kind of dealing with right now and you want some coping ideas or techniques, or, you know, what to do in this kind of situation, then just let me know if this is of interest to you. And if I get enough yeses, then I will create this live webinar and I will share the details with you. But yeah, let me know. And like always, if you've got any questions, come and find me on Instagram or on Facebook, on my Facebook group, or DM me a message, and let's have a chat. Have a great day, guys.